I'm Chronix from the most extreme wrestling. And I've seen this DVD, New Jack Hardcore, about 10 times. It is the funniest DVD that I've freaking ever seen about professional wrestling. And it's not made by WWE. No, it's not. And if you're only a WWE fan and you only pay attention to those things, you probably never even heard of New Jack. You know what I'm saying? Because see, on the rise and fall of ECW, there's no New Jack to be found. No, I don't see it. I think the only spot they showed him in was him jumping off of something. You can't even really tell who he is. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I'm pretty sure that they didn't even talk about him in the DVD at all. That's what I remember. I haven't seen the DVD in a long time, so I could be wrong. But the DVD itself is edited by just some random guy, I guess. I mean, he does other things, and obviously he's done a lot of interviews, but this video, this DVD, it's an hour and 20 minutes long, and you actually can see it on this YouTube. Get your pen and paper out, or just type it on your keyboard because you're at your computer, right? Slow Drive 626. And you can watch it for free on there. And he's got a lot of other wrestling documentaries that are really good and you need to see if you're a pro wrestling fan. But why is this DVD, New Jack Hardcore, so awesome? Well, like I said, it's just funny. He talks about so many things that weren't on the rise and fall of ECW that should have been, and a lot of things that were mentioned but weren't talked about because it was, you couldn't talk about it. All right. First of all, he talks about stories that they just kind of glanced at and they just didn't really talk about. The one where they're talking about the wrestler that New Jack beat the living crap out of and almost killed him. Yeah, they talk about that. They mention his name. And they go into detail about what happened and exactly why everything went down the way it did. You talk about another instance where Sandman did something that they had to destroy the tape because it was that bad. And, they got a lot of flack for it. He goes in depth talking about Paul Heyman, what he was really like. He talks about why Paul Heyman was in such bad financial shape that he was. Not only did he not pay the wrestlers, but the other things that, they got into, ECW got into, and they couldn't pay for, and they couldn't cover they couldn't cover themselves. New Jack talks about all the stories about backstage antics, talks about all the rats in the business, he talks about all the women in the business, he talks about, all the divas, if you want to call them that. They weren't called that in ECW, but that's what we've known to call them. All the women that were in ECW, and what they were really like, whether they were sluts, whether they were cool people, whatever it was. Talks about all the punks in the business. He talks about how the Dudley Boys, when they went to WWE, stole his gimmick of wearing the camouflage and how he feels about that. And he talks a lot about Devon Dudley and his personal life and his life decisions. And, oh my gosh, it's just funny. I couldn't stop laughing. He tells this story about one fan in particular who's like, New Jack, I got your baby. And he tells the story is so funny. But I'm not going to spoil it because then it wouldn't be funny. But New Jack himself is just the craziest guy. I could listen to him forever. I've probably seen every video on the internet of him getting interviewed. Him getting interviewed by kayfabe commentaries, interviewed by random people. It's just funny, funny, funny. And you have to see it. What else does he talk about? Man, he talks about what he's doing now, what he did then, how he got into the business. He talks about, he exposes the business a little bit. Not like everybody, didn't know, but, he explains to all the marks, as he calls them, how they blade, probably what most people already know, the ins and outs of the business. He tells the great story about Gypsy Joe, this old-ass man who got in a match with him and he almost killed him. And they show, like, clips of the video, too, so that's great. Just all the times, like, going in the South, him being a black dude, being one of the gangsters, and how the white people really didn't appreciate that, in the Deep South, in Tennessee or whatever, and in Kentucky, as he says. But it's just great. The DVD, I'm pretty sure you can get it for $5 or something. But I watched it on the internet, and it's just, oh my God. I don't usually do DVD reviews so much, and I've never done one of these indie ones, and I thought that would be great because, hey, nobody's doing reviews about stuff like that, so I would do it. So I would pay like $25 for this DVD, even though it's not produced by WBE or anything, because of the stories, the content, and as funny as this guy is, he can make any story funny. He's greatness. He's like a comedian. New Jack is the shits. You know what I'm saying? So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. At least start watching it on YouTube at Slow Drive 626 channel and subscribe to him. And hey, why don't you go to his profile and leave a comment and say, you know, Most Extreme Wrestling, Chronics from the Most Extreme Wrestling told you to go there. That would be awesome. Also, yeah, there's nothing else to say. New Jack is just awesome. And even Izzy says, why don't you go there? Because it's a good DVD to watch. And I'm going to go watch it right now.